I think that what I taught has not only damaged British society and British Muslim relations and damaged the position of Muslims in this society as British citizens, I think it's damaged the world.
Hizb-ut-Tahrir, the global Islamist movement accused by some of radicalizing young British Muslims, is banned in many Middle Eastern countries. It isn't allowed to hold rallies in Germany, and supporters were convicted in Denmark of anti-Semitic activity. After the July the 7th bombings, Tony Blair moved to ban the organisation in Britain, but the government concluded there was insufficient evidence to do so.
The party in Britain is central to exporting the ideology abroad, and I think London and Britain generally serves as a hub for the political and diplomatic aims of Hizb-ut-Tahrir.
The debate over proscribing the party has centred on how extreme the movement is and on its stance to violence. It insists that it works through exclusively political means. For 12 years, Maajid Nawaz was inside Hizb-ut-Tahrir, not only propagating their views in Britain, but exporting them to Pakistan and Denmark. He was imprisoned in Egypt for 4 years for being a member of the party. Up until May this year, he was on their leadership committee.
They are prepared to, once they've established the state, to fight other countries and to kill people in the pursuit of unifying this state into one state. I was born and raised in Southend-on-Sea in Essex. I had a pretty liberal upbringing. My mother tried to raise me with liberal principles. My father worked abroad in quite a good job in an oil company as an engineer, and pretty much had sort of friends from all walks of life, from all ethnicities and many different backgrounds. In terms of my beliefs, I'd say that I remember actually saying to my friends at the time that I was agnostic.
We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power.
I was into hip-hop music, and at the time in the 90s, the hip-hop scene was very political, and that sort of politicized my mindset. And on the international level, there were many sort of conflict zones that I remember thinking most of them seemed to involve Muslims. And the one that really sort of struck home to me was the conflict in Bosnia. The Muslims in Bosnia were white Muslims, Europeans, for the most part blonde-haired or brown-haired white Muslims. And yet despite that, they were identified explicitly as Muslims by the Serbs, and there was a genocide taking place in Bosnia. All of these sort of issues, they raised questions of identity for me. And it was at that time that I came across certain people in Southend, and they sort of aroused my anger in such a way, and then presented a sort of a one solution fixes all sort of idea. And to my 16-year-old, 17-year-old mind at the time, that made a lot of sense. And so it was just after I left school, I began attending study circles organised by people who would address these issues and then present Islam in a manner which I'd never heard it presented before, and that was as an ideology. I wanted to be anti-establishment. And those ideas sort of struck home, and they struck a chord. I felt that I was going to create a massive change in the world. My mother, she witnessed the change from early on, and she was very much opposed in the beginning to me going down a more political line and sort of politicizing the religion even. I thought my mother was very wrong. I thought she was a bad Muslim.
Keen to pursue this newfound ideology, Maajid left home at 16 to join a party cell in London.
I basically cut all my contact with the girls that I was in touch with. I deliberately attended a college that had a large Muslim population for the specific purpose of propagandizing, and that's why I chose that college in East Ham.
At Newham College, Maajid was elected president of the Students' Union, and he and his party colleagues set about transforming the campus.
We sort of radicalized the atmosphere in that college. We polarized the relationships between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. And due to that polarization and the way in which we radicalized the youth in the college, I think this sort of assertive Muslim identity was adopted by people who were essentially in the gang culture beforehand anyway.
The situation soon grew volatile and led to the murder of a student, Ayotunde Ubanubi, by a Muslim non-student based with the Hizb-ut-Tahrir activists on campus.
I'm not responsible for the murder, But I do feel responsible for creating an atmosphere where such a thing could sort of develop or flourish, such an attitude.
Expelled from Newham College, Majid returned home to finish his A-levels, and in 1997 was accepted at the School of Oriental and African Studies back in London. He recruited for Hizb-ut-Tahrir on campus and became a speaker for the party.
There are many things that I propagated to young people that I regret thoroughly. That includes telling them that they're not British, but they're Muslim first, that they should revile being British, and they should speak out against everything British. And I think, to be honest, to be fair to the party, they have moved on slightly from saying that. They used to say that in the 90s. When I was in HT, I said that suicide bombings in Israel were justified. And to my knowledge, that is still HT's stance.